Who's got it better than us?
Nobody. Paul Feinbaum ready to comment on the big story. Jim Harbaugh leaving Michigan fresh off his national championship. He will coach Justin Herbert and the Los Angeles Chargers, and that is the way it is being phrased everywhere you look. He's not going to L.A. He's going to coach Herbert, according to our Adam Schefter, who will join us later. Harbaugh has agreed to a 5-year deal. How good of a coach has he been? About as good as you can possibly be. Everywhere he's gone, he has won. At the college level, his team set all of them set single-season program records for wins. Of course, he took the 49ers from a team that hadn't been in the playoffs in years to 3 consecutive NFC championship games and was this close to winning a Super Bowl in a game against his brother about a decade ago. So here he comes back. Here's our squad. And Paul Feinbaum, I will start with you. You were the first person I thought of yesterday. We don't have Jim Harbaugh to kick around anymore, although at the very end there in college,
You're going to find someone new.
He turned the tables. What is your reaction to Harbaugh leaving Michigan, headed to coach Herbert in L.A.?
Well, he's going to the right place, Greedy, because even Steven Spielberg in Hollywood could not have come up with a more unbelievable script. Here's a guy that 3 years ago nearly gets fired at the University of Michigan. His contract is cut in half. What does he do? He wins the national championship. And don't forget, 2 years ago, he literally waits in the waiting room, eating snacks, while the Minnesota Vikings are about to call him in, and they turn him down. It's absolutely humiliating. He tucks his tail, he goes back to Michigan, and what does he do? He makes 3 straight runs to the playoffs, he wins the national championship, and then he leaves behind a very complicated legacy, but a national championship.
Absolutely. We'll dive into the college part of this in a few minutes because I think there's a lot there. And as I mentioned, Schefter will join us a little later, but Kmart, I come to you for the insight. This always felt like a marriage waiting to happen, and now it has.
Yeah, this pretty much was the worst kept secret in the NFL. Everybody you talked to expected this to happen. Now, it was always an attractive situation because why? Because they got a franchise quarterback. And if you got that, that's half the battle. But in Los Angeles, there are questions about the roster. It's an aging roster, it's salary cap issues. There are a lot of things happening, but the next step for Jim Harbaugh is figuring out who's going to be on his staff, and also they got to find a GM.
Okay, so there's a lot of questions that remain there, but there's only one that really matters.
The answer is yes.
Yes.
Go.
Yeah, Justin Herbert now has a coach that gets him into the Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar, Joe Burrow conversation. He's that talented of a player, and they now have a coach that is going to allow that talent to ascend into that conversation. They've put Kansas City on notice. We're going to watch Kansas City play in the AFC Championship for the 6th year in a row. Kansas City no longer just gets to kind of dominate that division. They've candidly put the whole conference on notice. And you can't win in that conference. Make it this different than the NFC. You can't matter in that conference without a superstar quarterback. They have that in Herbert. And now Herbert has a guy that is going to take that talent. The most talented quarterback Jim Harbaugh has ever had is Andrew Luck. This cat's not far off talent-wise. And we know what he made Andrew Luck into, the #1 pick of the draft. This is huge for the Chargers, and it's massive for Herbert.
This is the best thing that's going to happen to Justin Herbert in his career.
Yeah.
Be able to have a competent head coach to make grown-up decisions when it comes to football. Also, I love the balance that Jim Harbaugh and his offensive philosophy is going to bring to this football team. Everything is not going to be on Justin Herbert and his shoulders. He values the run game. He utilizes his tight ends. He loves to build his teams from the trenches and then everywhere else. The quarterback is already in place, and I love the 3 solid offensive linemen that they do have, the young ones, and Sawyer and Zion Johnson and Slater. So you have 3 pieces to the puzzle up front as well. I think now when I look at this football team, who is going to be that bell cow back for this football team?
Blake Corum.
Yep. Look, no, but it's a possibility they may be able to draft him.
Yeah, he could draft him in the 2nd round. He could draft Brock Bowers in the 1st round, a tight end that Paul knows so well from Georgia, who fits perfectly into the offense that he wants to run. I agree with you. It's fascinating. I want to get back to Herbert just briefly for a moment here, because that's what the story is. Jim Harbaugh chose this spot. He had options. Jim Harbaugh chose this spot to go coach this quarterback.
You've been on this.
I just happened to have a conversation with him about it a year ago. The point is, When we watch Herbert, he seems to have all the tools. People want to know, like, is he that level of good? I feel like you just said it to us, but I want you to say it again.
Talent-wise,
he's Allen, Burrow, Lamar, that level good.
Physical talent-wise, absolutely. I mean, he's 6'5", 240 pounds. He could throw the ball from, the goal line to the 50-yard line, 5 feet off the air, and he can run like a deer. So physical talent-wise, it's everything. He's just never had that offensive-minded head coach to be the person that surged them forward. He was under Brandon Staley, defensive-minded head coach, and he's had a couple different coordinators. But if you take this young talent and you put him with a coach that has that offensive vision of this is the style of football that we're going to play, he's done this without Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah.
Greeny. He's done that without Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah.
Jim Harbaugh has excelled with Josh Johnson, Alex Smith, Colin Kaepernick, Andrew Luck, J.J. McCarthy. He's done this with Brandon Staley.
Yeah.
What do we think? We expect him to. So you're asking me, can he get into that conversation of the top 5 in the league? Unequivocally, absolutely yes.
I want to value how important it is for Justin Herbert to have a guy that can speak the same language as him. Played the position. Jim Harbaugh played with the San Diego Chargers when they were in San Diego.
He did.
He got drafted by the Chicago Bears. He played the quarterback position. That's why him and J.J. McCarthy and their relationship is so dynamic.
Think about the stars, the young stars at the position in the NFL right now. Patrick Mahomes went in with Andy Reid, offensive-minded guy. Lamar Jackson was with Greg Roman. Now Harbaugh's maybe a little bit of a different conversation. Joe Burrow, offensive-minded guy. Zach Taylor. Josh Allen, he's got Joe Brady as his offensive coordinator now. Sean McDermott was a D. You got to get these young freaks. C.J. Stroud, offensive-minded. Bobby Slowick. You got to get them with either an elite offensive coordinator or an offensive-minded head coach. You can't just have it as this defensive-centric philosophy.
That's the difficult thing with Justin Herbert, because you see the talent, but so many people are wondering, when is he going to take that next step? Well, now he has the opportunity to do that with this head coach.
You mean he has an adult in the room now?
I'm not going to go that far, Harold, but...
I will. I will. I agree completely with everything that's been said here, primarily with what Harry said. This is the best day Justin Herbert has had since he got drafted. This is the best thing that could possibly happen to any young quarterback, is having Jim Harbaugh hired. This will elevate Herbert as high as he can go. Whatever he's capable of,
no doubt.
That's what Harbaugh will get out of him.
There's two things really attached to this. Number one, even though he's remarkably talented, you still knew when he had to go head-to-head and beat a Patrick Mahomes or a Burrow, there was the asterisk of yeah, but... Can Justin Herbert and Brandon Staley actually go do it? Now it's Justin Herbert and Jim Harbaugh. And I think the second thing is, as unbelievable as he is in talent, and he's got this I could be top 5 MVP caliber ability, he has had moments in games late where you go, it's almost similar to some of the stupidity about Josh Allen. Like late in games, can you be the person to make the play rather than make the mistake? Again, that's Jim Harbaugh's addition is going to close that gap. He'll take him from like a talent to like a dominant winner.
Yeah, the margin for error was so slim.
Sure,
Chargers.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I think also, Dio, from a talent perspective when it comes to Justin Herbert, being a wide receiver and just seeing how he throws the football, I think Jim Harbaugh is going to be able to, tap into his mental a little bit. Hey, you don't have to throw this one 100 miles
As hard
per
as you
hour.
can.
Yeah.
Right? You can
That's
take a little
enough.
bit
Every
off
ball
this
is
football.
flat.
Exactly. Yep.
So we all think this is going to go very well for Harbaugh. We all think it's going to go very well for Justin Herbert. How is it going to go for the program that he leaves behind? He is a Michigan man. He did exactly what he set out to do, Paul. He went there to win a championship. He did something that even his mentor, Bo Schembechler, never did. Schembechler never won the national title at Michigan. Harbaugh does. The overwhelming expectation is that Sherrone Moore, who was the offensive coordinator, who coached 6 games for them this year when Harbaugh served his 2 suspensions, will get that job. Where does this leave Michigan in the wake of Harbaugh's departure?
Well, more than likely, a week from now, they will make the decision to elevate Sherrone Moore, who really did a fine job. But the issue is what's going on around him. Don't forget, Greeny, the Big Ten is not what it was this year. You've got those 4 schools coming over from the Pac-12. And on top of that, here are the 2 things that Sherrone Moore will probably have to worry about. Second week of the season, at the Big House. They're playing Texas, which was in the Final Four, as everyone knows. Texas is going to be one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the country. At the end of the season, they go to Columbus. And this is not this year's Ohio State team. This Ohio State team has just loaded up, especially in the portal. They picked up Alabama's best defensive player. They've got Ole Miss's best running back. They also picked up a future quarterback from Alabama. So Ryan Day will likely be either number 1 or 2 in the preseason. And you don't want to lose to Ohio State in your first season at Michigan. Jim Harbaugh knows all about that.
Which will bring us to the point that Harry was making to me before the show, and I'd like you to make it again right now.
Glenn Frey. The heat is on when it comes to Ryan Day. The heat is on.
It's fried, but yes.
Whatever. You know what I mean.
I do.
Came from Beverly Hills Cops, my favorite movie.
Yes. He was in the Eagles.
But he has no
The heat is on Ryan Day.
Yes, it is, 100%, because now...
Tell me on Ryan Day, man.
Listen, you have Jim Harbaugh removed from Michigan. You lost to Michigan the last 3 years. Right? The Michigan Wolverines were able to make the college football playoffs 3 times in a row. You have transfers coming to your school. You're stacking up. You got Bill O'Brien as your offensive coordinator, taking a lot of pressure off of you. There is no excuse.
Is Ryan Day the new guy for Feinbaum? Is he going to transfer from Harbaugh to Ryan Day?
Let's find out.
Is that the new guy?
If they have a bad season this year, are we going in?
100%. I mean, if Ryan Day doesn't beat Michigan, I'll finish that statement later.
I mean, look, we need someone to kick around in the Big Ten for Paul, right?
Hey, why do they have to wait a week? I mean, Sherrone Moore should be the head coach yesterday. Why does it have to wait a week?
I love you, man.
It's a legal situation. They have to wait a week based on state law.
Yeah. So Dan is going to campaign to change that law. We'll see if we can't get that done one way or another. The overwhelming expectation is that Moore will ascend to that job. We will see what the NCAA ultimately does with Michigan. There are a lot of moving parts, but the biggest of them is Jim Harbaugh moving to L.A. to coach Justin Herbert. Paul, stay close by. We'll come back to you.